Congratulations on your graduation. Woo woo. Now, before you rip yourself out the plastic and start acting brand new, let's talk finances. You're about to start earning more money than ever before. Now, I want you to enjoy your new income because you earned it, but I want to make sure you manage it wisely. Consider me your big sister to help you take charge of your money. I'm going to teach you how to forecast your income, create a budget, and avoid financial pitfalls. You'll learn strategies and techniques to help you with financial management and build your wealth. You will not be out here worrying about money. You will have financial freedom. So, who am I? Because you don't know me, I am Tamika Cage. I have an over 800 credit score, a net worth over $500,000, paid off $83,000 of student loans, and I'm a two-time homeowner. But the real flex, I did this as a single mom in one of the most expensive metro areas of the country. I went from making $300 a month as a college student to being thrust in the middle class, earning $75,000 a year at my first job. The path to my financial success was not lined with roses. I had some hard-learned lessons because I did not come from money. I had to learn on my own, and I don't want this for you. I'm here to help you shave years off your learning curve so you don't have to learn the hard way like I did. So grab a pen and some paper, get ready to take some notes, and let's dive into my course from college class to middle class. Section 1, Basic Needs and Affordability. Taxes. One thing you got to understand is that the government is going to get paid first. You can try to outsmart them. You can do whatever you can. Listen, the IRS is somebody you don't want to mess with. Ask Wesley Snipes. So do not play around. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out, if you haven't already done so, what is your post-tax income. So that means you need to figure out what your check will look like after taxes have been taken out. So with this big offer, if you actually have to relocate, you definitely need to understand what the tax game is like over there. So for instance, I was relocated for my first big job. I, of course, have to take federal taxes out of my check, but I moved to a state that also had taxes because some states do not. But also, I was in a county that also took out taxes. So all three of those things have to be taken out of my check before I see it. So what's left over is what I budget with. One of the resources that I highly recommend is ADP's calculator. And that calculator will have you input what your federal status is. And most likely you'll probably be single. But if you have dependents, maybe head of household, or if you're married, you will put in that, because how much you pay in taxes is determined by that status. So you'll do that. And then you'll leave everything else blank. Just put in all your tax stuff. Don't put in insurance stuff. Don't put in investment stuff like 401ks. Just put in all that. Also, do not include overtime. Anytime you receive overtime or any bonus or commission outside of your standard base pay, never input that into a budget, because that is not something that you can depend on. That is something that is not confirmed. Honestly, the day-to-day paycheck ain't really confirmed, but for sure any bonus or overtime. So always budget with what is pretty much guaranteed to come in. And then once you have those numbers, that's what we'll use in the next section to calculate your budget. And for the next section, we will also be working with a monthly income. So if you know what you get every 2 weeks, go on ahead and double that. And that's what we'll pretty much work with. Budget. Okay, next we're going to talk about how to craft a budget with that monthly income that we just talked about. So my favorite way to craft a budget is with the 50-30-20 rule. 50% goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, and 20% goes to savings. The 50-30-20 rule. So what that means is, if someone has a post-tax monthly income of $4,000, 50% of that, $2,000, is going to go to needs. So they need to figure out how to get their housing in there, their car, insurance, food, all of that is going to be in needs. All right. Now, 30% of this $4,000 is going to be $1,200. That is wants. So think of things like travel, brunch, fun things, going to the movie theaters. That would go to wants. And then we have 20% of 4,000, which goes to savings. That would be $800. So $800 would be what you put in 401k, what you put in your emergency fund. That side of the budget would be for that. Now, I think it's pretty generous because you don't want to just, you just got your new job, but you don't want to have to, be so constrained where you can't have fun. Like, I'm not going to work and I'm not able to have fun. So that's why I think the 50-30-20 rule is great, because it gives you a lot of flexibility to actually enjoy the money that you are making. So with my first job, actually my take-home income was about $4,000, give or take. And my first apartment, the rent was $1,800 with no utilities. So if we're going by the 50-30-20 rule, I was already pushing it with $1,800 rent. And once that gas and light bill hit and water, I'm already over the $2,000. But keep in mind, I have car insurance that I need to pay for, and I also have food. Then we have the wants, which pretty much went out the window with my first job, and then also savings. So there was, I was trying to put into 401k, but also my student loans started to ask for repayment 6 months after I graduated. So I also have to fit that into the budget. And I told y'all I was a single parent. So once that lease ended, I moved further out, and I moved to an apartment that was $1,300 a month. It was not ideally where I wanted to live, but I needed that space in my budget so I would not be stressed financially. Now that you know what the 50-30-20 rule is, you're going to take that monthly income that was just calculated, and then you're going to input that monthly income into this budget framework. So there is calculators that can do this for you, but if you just graduated, you don't know how to calculate 50% of something, 30% of something, 20% of something, then we got bigger problems. But again, take that monthly income and put it into this budget framework, and then that tells you how much you can afford and take that with you when you're looking for apartment shopping or your car shopping. It gives you a good grasp of what you actually can afford. All right. Credit. Because here's the thing, when you bring in a certain amount of money, you may go to apply for an apartment, to try to get a car or something like that, or maybe you want to buy a house. The bank is not going to do that 50-30-20 rule for you. They would stress you out financially if they can, because they know you're going to do everything you can to keep your car or house. So this is why I'm giving you the power to figure out what's going to be comfortable for you. Now, let's touch on credit, because you have your income that we just discussed, but you also have your credit. So what is a credit score? Credit score basically tells the bank or the institution how reliable you are when it comes to paying back. They determine that based on how long you've had loans or credit accounts. And then they base that off of how many on-time payments did you make. So think of things like credit cards, auto loans, mortgages. Those are like 3 of the most popular. Honestly, that is the only thing that I have on my credit. Student loans. I no longer have those, but just flex right there. So things like phone bills and rent, they're not included in credit, even though I think they're trying to push this in Congress. That's a whole nother story. But those are the things that are going to be on your credit. When it comes to those bills, never miss one and never have it late, because those impact your credit over time. They look at how long you've had credit, and then how good you are in paying back. Now, why is this important? Because every time you go and get one of these loans, they will be looking at that history. And for the most part, people, I feel like, get their credit ready when they know they're going to have a big purchase coming up. Like when I bought my first home, I was very strict on my finances and I did what I needed to do in order to buy the house. However, you should stay ready so you don't have to get ready when it comes to credit. Because if I walk out this house today, get in my car, and I so happen to run into another car and I total my car out, I want to go to the bank to take out a loan, and I want to get the best rate possible. And I can't be on some, well, I didn't realize I was going to have to buy a car. I needed a couple of months to get my credit right. Because here's the thing, the interest rate that they're going to give you is going to be based on your credit at that time. So you want to make sure it's always the best possible. All right, so what is a good credit score? I told y'all I'm in the 800 club. I think it's a great achievement that I got that far. However, all you need, I believe, is like a 760, 775, depending on the credit bureau. Now, there are 3 of them: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And you will have 3 different credit scores with them, but the range is pretty much the same. I would say aim for that 760, 775, because once you get into that, everybody gets the same interest rate from there on up. Like if you got a 795 and somebody got an 800, y'all getting the same rate. So I ended up getting the 800 just paying my bills on time. Another tip, never cosign. I'm be honest with you, I wouldn't cosign for Jesus. If the bank has trillions and billions of dollars and they do not trust you, and I'm a half a millionaire, but basically if you ask me, I got $2. Now, if I got $2, but the bank with the billions of dollars told you no, they don't trust you enough, why would I, with my $2, trust you and cosign for you? Because here's the thing, you're on the line with them. No matter what, they could lose their job. Hell, they could die. The bank is like, I don't care, I want my money. So don't co-sign for somebody. Whatever they got going on, they listen. Go cry to the bank about it. See what the bank got the money. The bank can take the risk. I can't. So never co-sign for anyone. I mean it. All right. So now what I want you to do is go ahead and find out what your score is. There are a couple different apps that can do that for you. Your bank actually might have some credit score trackers and things like that. But you need to see what your score is. And then also you need to monitor your credit like nobody's business. I have Credit Karma and I set up alerts on that. And honestly, it's free. And I downloaded the app, and then I have credit alerts for emails. And one day I just so happened to log on my email on a Sunday, or the day prior, I had got an email that said that somebody had taken out a credit card in my name. So I was able to quickly recognize that as fraud and get it taken care of early, because once it lingers on, it's harder and harder to prove that it's not you. But yeah, all of that was free. So definitely find one of those credit score trackers, sign up for it for the alerts, and be vigilant about your credit just like you are your money, because they both are just important. Because the lower your credit score is, the more you will pay for things like a house or an auto loan. And the goal is to pay as less as possible to the bank. All right? And 30% of the budget goes to wants. I think that's a pretty decent amount of your income that you can use to indulge. You can use it to travel. You can use it for brunch. Maybe you can use it to save up to get, a designer bag. But are you going to have a designer bag for every day of the week? You shouldn't. Don't let them folks have you up all night sick about how you going to pay bills because you wanted to stunt for the gram. Couldn't be me. You need to prioritize your financial goals. It could be an emergency fund, and then stick to your budget. You will be okay if you stick to the budget. Like I said, you got 30% to play around with. Stick to it. So this is what I want you to do. Pull up last month's bank statement. Let's talk about everything that's there that don't need to be there or you don't have extra money for. It could be something as simple as Netflix. Maybe Netflix don't fit in the budget. And Netflix is definitely a part of wants. But if needs is already far over the 50%, you need to take Netflix off, all right? You don't need it. You just seen all them shows anyway. Okay? Get Tubi. Is Tubi free? That's what you need to be watching. Or hell, take your ass to the library, get you some DVDs or some books. All right? But listen, it's only temporary. If you do this temporarily, I'm telling you, it will pay you back in leaps and bounds. That short sacrifice. I'm coming to y'all with a budget, and listen, I don't worry about finances no more. You will get to this place if you make the correct steps now. I'm telling you. Section 2, middle class traps. Family guilt. Every time I get on a plane, I really love how the flight attendants tell you that if the oxygen mask drops down, to put it on yourself first before you try to assist others. That is something that I live by financially. Like, you have to be able to take care of yourself first before you take care of others. Now, if you are a first generation college student or you're the only one in the family that made it, trust me, when you get this new big job, or if you out here studying for the gram, somebody's about to ask you for some money. And some of us think that we are the saviors of the family and that we have to do it. But I'm gonna just be honest here. Whether or not you say yes or no is going to be a personal decision. I am the person that said no, and I say no all the time. I don't care if I just told you I'm a half a millionaire on here. I don't got it to let people borrow. I just don't. That's my own personal choice. But for you, your situation may be different, and I want to hold grace and space for that. So if a loved one comes to you and says, hey, can I borrow some money? You need to ask yourself first, are my basic needs taken care of? Is my emergency fund up to date? Or do I have all the money that I need in order to make it from this paycheck to the next paycheck? If you are straight financially, then by all means, go ahead. Go ahead if you want to. But I encourage you to take it a step further, because as I'm trying to teach you to be better with your finances, I hope that this spreads to everyone around you, where you can sit down and you can say, hey, well, why do you need the money? Some may say, well, I need to pay a light bill, or I need to put gas in my car. Okay, how did we get here? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Once you start asking those questions, a lot of people are not gonna come around no more, which that's what I did. Once you start, well, why you ain't got it? Well, what's gonna happen next time if you don't need it? People don't like them questions. So they left me alone, which perfect, works for me. All right. But you can start to even open their eyes to, borrowing money and not needing to borrow money. Like, girl, why you can't wait till your next check? Or why aren't you saving money set aside so you don't have to keep going through this? Or somebody might tell you, hey, I want to go to the casino. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And here's my thing. Before I became successful, what was y'all doing? What was y'all doing before I became successful? Go back to that. Because again, I'm not the bank. I'm not the bank at all. Like, I'm a little harsh. But I'm trying to help y'all, have some financial boundaries. Don't let these people run y'all over. And again, take care of yourself first. Put your oxygen mask on first before you can help others. And if you just started in your career, your oxygen mask is not on yet. It's not. Put it on. Save up for your emergency fund. You are in the process of putting it. You ain't got it. You telling people you ain't got it. Period. Meanwhile, better figure out some other shit. Also, treat it like a gift. Just expect that it's not gonna come back. That's if I do happen to give somebody some money nowadays, which I live by, I don't let people borrow money. I'll just give it to you. Because I'm not about to be stressed on whether or not you're going to pay it back. And if you're the type of person like, oh, I could never give away money and treat it as a gift, like I need my money back, you shouldn't be letting people borrow money because you don't have the psyche set up. You're going to ruin relationships. And as a person who loves her money and will cuddle with it at night, people are still more important than money. Your relationship with your friends and your family will always be more important. And I don't want to fall out with you about my $2.46 because I want my money back. All right? Period. Next, what I want you to do is apply what we just talked about to the past. Do you have some money that you thought was coming back to you? Treat it as a gift, write it off. Do you have a person that comes to you regularly for money? When they do it again, start asking questions. All right? Or if you feel like you are not where you need to be financially, start telling people, hey, I don't have it. I don't have the capacity. Marriage and divorce. I know a lot of people, when they got in their career, they got married. Now, we just talked about keeping up with the Joneses. If you need to go to the courthouse, do what you need to do, okay? Don't be out here with these large parties trying to flex for a wedding. I know you want that dream wedding. You think you Cinderella. Listen, go on down to that courthouse or do a destination wedding. But you ain't got it. Like, once you blow up years later, maybe take that money and have a big 20th wedding anniversary wedding or something. I don't know. But go down to that courthouse since you so in love, okay? And then also, when it comes to divorce, one of the leading causes of divorce is financial issues. Be careful who you dating and pay attention to their spending habits, their money habits, because once you get married, y'all supposed to be on the same page. And then when you divorce, they'll split that debt up. So be careful. Be careful out here in these streets. And I know people who got divorced, male and female, it takes them years to bounce back financially. Okay? Now, let's talk about prenups. A lot of people say, well, I'm in love. I don't need no prenup. We ain't never getting divorced. Okay. All right. Well, the state has a prenup. So do you want your own or you want the one the state got? I want to put together my own. I don't want the one that the state got. The state ain't looking out for my best interest. So listen, go get that prenup. Now, it could be something as simple as what I brought to this union and what you brought to this union, we walk away with. What we create together, that's what we split. I think that's agreeable for both parties, but hey, I ain't got no man. Don't listen to me. What you need to do is look up the laws of your state and see what happens when it comes to divorce. Every state is different, but if you are seriously considering marriage in the state where you live in, you need to look up what happens if we get divorced. That should be enough for you to consider a prenup. Now, you may think, well, we not rich or whatever. Do you know they are split up a 401k? And I know you lying. Listen, I'm just telling you, be careful out here in these streets, all right? Section 3, financial future investments. So one thing you need to take from this video is that when it comes to investments, time is on your side. If you are young in your 20s, time is on your side. Remember, I told y'all, I had somebody instilled this in me at your age, I would be far better off than I am now. And I think I'm doing pretty damn good for myself now. So I just imagined what I had done had I taken investing seriously at a young age. So time is on your side. Now, investing can be very broad. We can talk about it all day. Sure, I can make more videos about investing, but for today, we are just going to focus on investments tied to your employer. That's what we're going to focus on. So think 401k, think employee sponsored stock plans, and then also think, oh, that's it. Just think of those two. Think 401k and company stock. So let's get into it. First and foremost, when you make financial decisions, this is my disclaimer. I am not a financial professional or whatever they call. So whenever you make investment decisions, consult with a financial professional or look it up on your own. But don't come back here and talk about Tamika gave me some bad advice, baby. This is the education purposes. All right. If you are going to work for a public company, you need to find out what their stock plan is like. Some companies give you discounts on their stock. So say, for instance, if the stock is $100 and they're giving off a 10% discount, you get that stock for $90. So you are already profitable the minute you buy it. You definitely need to get on that and start buying some of that stock if you have the space in your budget to do so. Also, they could have yearly stock awards. Maybe you can talk to your manager about how you can get some of those stock awards every year. And then when you are looking for a job and you are negotiating a salary, ask for stock. A lot of my wealth is tied to company stock. Like the way in which I was able to save or pay off things or just have a nice chunk of my net worth, company stock. It is not a game if they are giving it out for free or they are giving you a discount on it and they're actually doing well, okay? So if you work for a public company and you can ask them or you can look them up on the New York Stock Exchange, listen, game changer. All right, next we're going to talk about 401ks. Now, if you don't know what a 401k is, I'll be honest with you, I can't tell you what 401k or I don't even know what that stands for. All I know is that it's a retirement investment account. That's all you need to know. Now, every year, the government sets guidelines on how much you can put into it. I think this year was like $23,000. As a person who is starting in their career, you're probably not going to max that out. And to be quite honest with you, you shouldn't try to if it's going to be a stretch for you. The important thing is that you need to be putting money in it simply to benefit from the fact that time is on your side. Now, where the company comes in is that the company is more than likely matching. They're matching up to a certain percentage or they're maxing up to a certain dollar amount. So you need to be putting into it because whatever you put into it, I don't care if it's just $1,000, your company more than likely is also going to match that $1,000 for free. So instead of you putting in $1,000, you have $2,000. Now, if you work for a company that is not matching, I encourage you to go to LinkedIn or Indeed and get you like a new job, okay? Because I've never worked for a company that did not match. And I'm side-eyeing any organization that is not matching. The nerve, okay? But that's what you need to know for 401k. So put money into it and let it sit. Let it sit and it will just grow, okay? Now, go back to the budget that we did in section 1 and that 20% that goes to savings, your 401k needs to fit inside of there. So again, that also includes debt. So see what you need to do to make something shake so you can invest in your 401k. Maybe you can buy some company stock, but you can also save up for your emergency fund and pay off some debt. I know that's a lot. And you probably like Tamika, I'm not Scrooge McDuck. However, you can take from that 30% once until you get to where you need to be. So maybe you cut out brunch or something like that, or whatever else you need to cut out. And maybe you have to go 50-50, 50% needs, 50% savings until you get comfortable. But definitely try to invest as much as you can through those two vehicles. Those are the easiest and simplest ways. And you should get more money, through a company match or a company stock discount because you are in fact investing in those vehicles. So I highly recommend. I think it is definitely a pro tip to set your financial future off. All right, next we're going to talk about estate planning, and you're probably like, yeah, I'm not rich or old. Why are we talking about estate planning? Again, you need to figure out what's going to happen when you leave this earth. And guess what? You leaving, and you don't know when. First things first, all of your bank accounts, go in there and set a beneficiary to each and every one of them. Maybe you want to give it to your new niece that you just had. Maybe you want to give it to your little cousin. You know, if you have kids, they're definitely going to go to them, but maybe you want to split it up in between them. Or when it comes to parents, if something happens to you, your mom and daddy is splitting it. Maybe you don't think your daddy should get a piece. Well, you need to go in there and write the beneficiaries and make sure your mama get all of it. But that's the first thing you can do when it comes to estate planning. You need to figure that out. Next, you need to figure out what's going to happen to you in a healthcare emergency. Now, these are things that you could do without a lawyer. You just kind of have to look it up in your state and see what the process is. But if you don't want to be in a coma for more than 2 days, you can write that out. There's also a directive when it comes to women and having kids. Do I want to be saved, or do I want the baby to be saved? I'm gonna be honest with you. We don't know that baby like that. Keep me. But those are things that you can set in stone, because hear me out. You need to decide what's going to happen to you in a medical emergency, because if you survive, okay, the hospital want their money. All right. And medical debt is really crippling out here. Make them decisions. Also decide what you want your funeral to be like. You know, I don't want y'all to book Beyonce for my funeral unless she reduce her price to $200. But listen, y'all can take me to the incinerator for about $2,000 and keep the money for yourself. Those are things that you want to figure out. Also, since we're talking about funerals, let's get on life insurance. You need to have enough life insurance to cover all your mess that you got here on earth. Like, for example, student loans. If it is a federal student loan, when you die, it goes away. Them private student loans like Sally Mae and them, they still want their money. So make sure your student loans can cover that. If you have a house, when you pass away, if you want to leave that house in the family, you better have enough money set aside to pay off the house. So those are things that you have to think about. Making sure you have enough life insurance to cover, so you're not leaving financial stress for your family and for your lineage. So I'm be honest with you. I believe in reincarnation. If I come back as my grandchild or great-grandchild and we still poor, it's going to be a problem at the hospital and the nursery. I'm letting y'all know that right now. Cool? All right. And like I said earlier, go ahead and go to all your bank accounts. You can do this online, typically through the app or the website, and go add a beneficiary to all your accounts. Do that to all life insurance accounts, all investment accounts. Add a beneficiary, so it is quite easy to handle your finances as much as possible when you go on glory. Early retirement. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Work is ghetto. I know you just starting it. I'm not trying to scare you off, but 40 hours a week is entirely too much time to be spending with your coworkers. Would I rather be spending my time doing something else? Yes. You know, does work take a toll on your health? Yes, especially if you a minority in the workplace. Who wants to do this till they 65? I know I don't. I'm not doing this till I'm 65. So again, I'm not telling you that you should retire early, but I am putting a bug into your ear to start thinking about it. And I'm telling you, once them people start getting on your nerves, you won't even need the motivation from me. So we're going to talk about the FIRE movement. It's what do it stand for? Oh, financial independence, retire early. Now, there are a lot of different paths that people go to get to retiring early. The first thing everybody needs to do is figure out their FIRE number. So you're going to take your salary or the salary that you want to live off of, and you times that, is it by 32? Whatever that number gonna be in the millions, all right? That's all you need to know. That number is gonna be in the millions. And that number might scare you, but I'm be honest with you, that's the same number that you need to have in your 401k when you retire. Or that number need to be somewhere. The money is going to be needed regardless if you retire at 35 or 65. You still going to need at least $1 million. Now, there are different paths that people take to get to FIRE. Now, some people I have seen go dumpster dive. That's not going to ever be my ministry. Shout out to y'all. I'm not sleeping on no air mattress or whatever. Now, will I take any extra money I make and throw it in the stock market? I can do that. What I love about the FIRE movement is there's so many examples on the internet where you can see how each and every person got through to it. So you can just kind of search FIRE movement or, my path to FIRE. You'll find a bunch of different resources. FIRE also needs to be established after you have got your emergency fund and, for the most part, your debt in control. So again, I'm not telling you to retire early now. I'm just putting a bug in your ear so you can start thinking about it. So you made it to the end of the video. I am so proud of you. I hope that this video was informative and enjoyable. I hope the terms and concepts were not too complex. So what did we go over? We went over basic needs and affordability. I taught you how to craft a budget. I told you, how you need to take taxes out first. And then we also went over credit. Then we talked about middle class traps. You learned about how you shouldn't be trying to keep up with the Joneses and why. Also marriage and divorce. And then also family guilt. Don't let them people worry you to death. All right. And then we finished up with the future finances. So investments, but just ones tied to your company. Estate planning, because you will die one day. All right. And then we finished up with the FIRE movement because I want you to start thinking about retiring early. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. There'll be more resources down below. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.